Hi friends, please close your eyes for a moment. So friends, in the last lecture we had discussed mass media and social media. Yeah? So, what is the pluralist view, Bitya, of the role of mass media in a democracy? Yes, mass media is the fourth pillar. Online students, please type yes that you can hear me and see me clearly to confirm that. And good evening, beta. So, please type yes. Meanwhile, continue, beta. Mass media acts as the watchdog of democracy. Yes, it keeps governments accountable and keeps an eye on the actions of the government. It scrutinizes the actions of political actors. Makes people aware of various issues. Political parties, pressure groups also use mass media to, put forth this thing to communicate their policies or agendas, etc. to the electorate. ठीक है. Then, tell me, kya, brother, what do you understand by? Nahin, let me, by the male gaze. Okay, तो बात बताइए क्या है? Women are objectified in movies, yes. In the view of the technicians behind the cameras, the male characters in the movie, and the male audience. Okay, that's a mystery. Who is this mystery woman? Huh? Who's the person who's given this concept? Laura Mulvey. बिल्कुल. ठीक है, M से surname. ठीक है, good. Then tell me कि what is the Bitya? What is the Marxist view of the role of mass media? हाँ Bitya. The capitalists convey they promote their interest through mass media. And how do they do that? They own it, of course. And I need better explanation. Brother? According to Adorno, what do they call it? What term they used? Adorno and Horkheimer? Culture industry. Culture industry, हाँ, they produce standardized cultural goods. Okay, makes people passive. बिल्कुल, बिल्कुल, absolutely. ठीक है. Brother, what does Chomsky say? हाँ, very good. Any views expressed are within safe limits, safe as in they are not threatening the system. Bilkul. Good. Then, what is new about new media? Digitization or yes, it is interactive. Bilkul. ठीक है. And give me an analysis of the role or the possibilities of this new media या social media. Yes? उसकी कुछ तारीफ कीजिए, simply. It is more personal, as in, better word would be customized. The content is more customized, or you need not be an expert in order to put forth your views or publish content or be heard, be seen. Or covers as in? It gives a platform to different sections of the society to express their viewpoints. बिल्कुल. और बताइए, बिटिया, critique this new media या social media from a feminist perspective. So women face trolling and harassment online, or lot of fake. What? बोलिए. From a feminist perspective. सुनिए ना बेटा, कैसे बुलाऊं, कितनी बार बुलाऊं? आप लोगों को बोल रहा हूं, सुन क्यों नहीं रहे हो? इतनी बार I have rang the bell. कोई रिस्पॉन्स क्यों नहीं आ रहा आप लोगों की तरफ से बेटा? ऑनलाइन स्टूडेंट्स को वॉइस क्लियर नहीं आ रही है, उसको बढ़ाइए. यस, कंटिन्यू. Women get trapped into fake content मतलब? Okay, identity theft. और बताइए, बिटिया, behind her. Sorry? Worsen social inequalities. Very good. Elaborate on that a bit. Yes, women own fewer devices, electronic or these mobile phones and laptops, etc. Also, they have lesser access to internet. Or, Bitya, continue. Elizabeth Day. Very good. So remember some names. Yes, so women engage in self-censorship. So they would not express their views as stridently as they would want. Online students, is it now better? Audibility? Is that a word? Am I audible? Now it's audible. ठीक है, thank you. Continue. Men tweet more than women. ठीक है. So the similar constraints that women face in the offline world, they also experience online. ठीक है. अब चलते हैं जीवन में आगे. Now we move on. We are done now finally with social change. Okay? Moving on to discussing to another unit, which is what? Work and economic life. Work and economic life. Have we talked about work and economy anywhere till now in our discussions? Bilkul. Marx's whole theory is an analysis of the nature of the economy. How society changes with changes in the production system. Yes or no? So while discussing Marx, we have sufficiently already discussed work and economy. Anywhere else? Durkheim's theory of division of labor is also, we are talking about what? The nature of work. Weber, where? While talking about the rise of capitalism, while talking about bureaucracy, we are talking about what? The workplace. Yes or no? Or the nature of the economy. In fact, even when we discuss the emergence of the discipline of sociology and how industrial revolution brought about changes, we were talking about what? The economy. So it's not a new topic in that sense. We have discussed in various places about work and economic life. And why I also mention this is that while writing answers, please bring content, whatever we may have discussed under Marx, under Weber's theory of Protestant ethic, bureaucracy and so on and so forth. Draw those linkages. Don't think in silos. We study topic-wise, but then we interconnect while writing answers. Okay? Now, in the UPSC sociology syllabus, what is mentioned in this unit are as follows. We have social organization of work in different kinds of societies, namely slave society, feudal society, and industrial capitalist society. Then formal and informal organization of work. And finally, labor and society. Labor and society. Theek? Have we discussed anywhere this thing? How social organization of work is in industrial capitalism, feudal society? While talking Marx's theory of mode of production, historical materialism, we discussed it. Have we discussed formal organization of work anywhere? Where? Bureaucracy. Bilkul. That's a formal organization of work. Apart from these topics, so we'll draw those linkages while writing answers. And apart from these topics, I'll also be keeping in mind the kind of questions which have been asked in the previous years. So some topics which may not find explicit mention here will also be taken up. For example, the nature of work in contemporary times. Okay, so in contemporary times, how work is organized, we will be discussing that also. We will be discussing theories of management also, though it doesn't find an explicit mention here. Management theories. Theek? Beginning, friends, before we start discussing the social organization of work in different types of societies, tell me, what is work? Calm? Yes, it is calm. But what do you mean by calm? That is the question. I don't want only a translation. What is work? काम किसको कहते हैं? बिटिया? That which is a source of earning या income. That is work. All right, that's a very, very popular understanding of what work is. Very, very popular. साफ बात है, काम क्या है? जिसके करने पे आमदनी हो, वो काम है. हाँ, ब्रदर? Sorry? Wonderful creation of economic value. Huh? And what is of economic value? Goods and services which are of a certain economic. And what do you mean economic value? Something for which somebody is willing to pay. Huh? ठीक है. Any other way we can understand or approach? She's saying any action which causes a change in energy is work. Isn't that too broad? For example, gymming. Okay, when we go to the gym and we pick up dumbbells, there is an expenditure of energy. Is that work? अगर मैं जिम जाके डोले शोले बना रहा हूं, I am expending energy. Is that work? How many of us would be willing to call it work? ये डोले बनाने वाले जो लोग हैं ना, they consider it work. हाँ, हाँ. Yes, बिटिया? Anything which is taking up intellectual or physical energy for doing any action. So economic value is problematic. Huh? Or income, as somebody mentioned, earning is problematic from a feminist perspective. That क्या housewife काम नहीं कर रही है? So from a feminist perspective, housewife is also performing work. So therefore she is defining it broader as any expenditure of mental or physical energy. You're right. So friends, see, the conventional understanding of what is work is that which is a source of income. Most intuitive, most popular, and most conventional, right? Is that work is that which is a source of income. But a broader understanding would be any expenditure of, I'll dictate also, any expenditure of physical or mental energy, right? To produce goods and services. But please appreciate, work, this notion of what constitutes work is contextual. It is contextual. For example, if I am a bathroom singer, I sing while taking a shower. Is that work? Energy लगती है. But is that work? But if Lata Mangeshkar sings, is that work? Yes, it is. The same action being performed by different persons in different contexts is work in one context but not considered as work in another. क्यों? मेरे गाने को वर्क क्यों नहीं मान रहे हो आप? क्योंकि मुझे उसका पैसा नहीं मिल रहा और लता मंगेशकर को उसका पैसा मिल रहा है, इसलिए वो वर्क है. धन्यवाद भैया. The same action, if performed by an individual in one context, may be regarded as work and in another context as non-work. For example, in the conventional sense of the term, if a woman is raising her child, is that work? No. But if that woman is raising another person's child, is that work? It is work. ठीक है? So what is regarded as work is contextual. ठीक? लिखिए. Work in general means carrying out tasks by expenditure of physical and oblique or mental effort to produce goods and services that serve human needs. That serve human needs. Full stop. In a narrow sense, likho, in a narrow sense, work refers to only paid employment outside the home. ठीक? Full stop. However, a broader definition of work also includes unpaid domestic work, and volunteer work. Volunteer work as in, say, this expanding civil society. So if you join some NGO and you teach slum kids, disprivileged kids, for an hour or two daily, are you working? There's no remuneration. You're not being paid for it. But is that work? In that broader sense of the term, that is included in the ambit of work. Okay? Now tell me, friends, why do people work? How many of you intend to work in life? Raise your hands. All of us, of course. That is why we are here. You understand? No, we are here to basically chart out a career. Why? Why will you guys work? बताओ मजदूरों. Huh? Why do people work? Survival. So very importantly, friends, work is the primary source of livelihood for millions of people across the globe. We are trying to appreciate the social significance of work. Why people work? One of the key reasons he has rightly identified is that work is the primary source of livelihood for scores of people. If I want food on my table, I need to work. Yes or no? It is a very important reason, no doubt, but not the only one. Please appreciate. In this class only, there will be many amongst us who come from such a privileged background that we need not work in order to survive. बाप दादा ने इतना जोड़ रखा है कि अगर हम काम ना भी करें तो गुजारा कंफर्टेबली चल जाएगा. इफ नॉट अ वेरी लग्जूरियस लाइफ, वी विल स्टिल हैव अ कंफर्टेबल एग्जिस्टेंस. यस और नो? हाउ मेनी ऑफ अस बिलोंग टू दैट segment of the society that we are privileged enough? Come on, there's no shame in being rich. ठीक है, आप ही बोल रहे थे सर्वाइवल है, इन्हीं का हाथ सबसे ऊंचा खड़ा हुआ है. खैर, so there are many amongst us, and I'm sure others also who are playing humble, who need not work for survival. Then why will we work? क्यों हम क्यों काम करें? Let us enjoy. I propose. Will you guys work? The richy rich. Will you? Yes. क्यों? जब इतने संपन्न हो आप, तो फिर क्यों इन मजदूरों की तरह आप क्यों वर्क करोगे? ब्रदर, संपन्न हो, हो, फिर बताओ. ओनली देन यू हैव अ राइट टू. बताओ. वाई मार्क्स? यू से नो. नो, यू टेल. फॉरगेट मार्क्स फॉर अ बिट. Without mentioning marks, you have, but that is also something you also truly believe in, that work is the essence of human beings. Why do you say that? Speak from a personal level. अगर आपको काम करने की जरूरत नहीं है पैसे के लिए, खाने पीने के लिए, फिर क्यों काम कर रहे हो? I really suggest to you, chill. बिल्कुल, है ना? अपना टीवी शीवी देखो, ताशवाश खेलो, हैव अ गुड लाइफ. और नॉट? वाई नॉट? टू मेक यूज ऑफ आवर पोटेंशियल. मतलब व्हाट इज इट दैट इज ड्राइविंग यू, ब्रदर? इट इज द प्राइमरी सोर्स ऑफ आइडेंटिटी. वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फ्रेंड्स. इन मॉडर्न सोसाइटीज, वर्क, our occupation is our primary source of identity. Very important. We are known by the work that we do. Yes or no? You may be filthy rich, but that alone does not define you. Please appreciate. किसी से मिलोगे ये थोड़ी ना कहोगे हाय आई हैव 3 crores इन माई बैंक अकाउंट. क्या बोलते हो कि हाय आई एम एन इंजीनियर. मेरी आइडेंटिटी है कि आई एम अ टीचर. आर यू विद मी? फॉर सिविल सर्विस एस्पिरेंट्स, दैट इज हाउ पीपल नो मी. मेरी समाज में पहचान इसी से है कि मैं क्या करता हूं. इन मॉडर्न सोसाइटीज इट इज द प्राइमरी सोर्स ऑफ वंस आइडेंटिटी. और बताइए बिटिया. इट गिव्स अ सेंस ऑफ पर्पस इन लाइफ. साफ बात है, वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. और बताइए ब्रदर. ओनली रिच पीपल, आर यू लाइक बिलोंगिंग टू दैट सेगमेंट दैट यू कैन सर्वाइव विदाउट वर्किंग? बताओ फिर क्यों काम करोगे? People have needs other than that of mere survival, such as? Okay, so I am at a certain privileged level, but I want more. I want to still rise up. Even those from a privileged background would aspire for social mobility. Yes or no? तो मैं अमीर हूं पर मुझे और अमीर होना है. उसके लिए मुझे क्या करना पड़ेगा? वर्क. या टू प्रिवेंट डाउनवर्ड मोबिलिटी मुझे क्या करना पड़ेगा? वर्क. मैं तो अमीर हूं क्योंकि मेरे बाप दादा ने बटोरा, बट देन हाउ डू आई इंश्योर दैट द वेल्थ स्टेज एंड इज पास डाउन द नेक्स्ट जनरेशन? मुझे भी तो काम करना पड़ेगा. मैं अमीर हूं क्योंकि बाप दादा ने काम किया, तो मेरे बच्चे अमीर होंगे अगर मैं काम करूंगा. सो टू प्रिवेंट डाउनवर्ड मोबिलिटी, टू एंश्योर अपवर्ड मोबिलिटी, वी नीड टू वर्क. और बताइए अमीर लोगों. बिटिया, अमीर बिटिया, Tell me. It helps us to know ourselves. What do you mean by that? Okay, so she sees work as a platform to we learn through work. और बताइए. So it's a process of learning. हाँ. Only privileged people. हाँ. Not those who will be working for survival. And very few of us will be in that category who will need to work for survival. Bitya. Don't be too Marxist, but Marx suggested we feel alienated while working. She's saying we feel alienated while not working. Why? You can't chill for too long a time. Bilkul, you will get bored of not working. Yes or no? Work basically helps us to organize our day. It helps us to plan our day. It gives us a purpose. It gives us a daily schedule. Very importantly, friends, मैं सुबह से लेके शाम तक क्या करता हूं is defined by my work. All my waking hours, what I do. Really. So for example, how my day is spent, when I get up, I spend some hours reading. After that, I spend some time with my students, online students, on calls, addressing their doubts. Then I will do my daily ablutions, nahana dhona, breakfast, etc. And then I will do some administrative office work, if and when that comes up. Are you with me? Then I will arrive at my workplace and spend about in a day 6 odd hours teaching. Are you with me? Before going to bed, I might write or pen down something. Now, why am I doing all these activities? Because I'm a teacher. And my daily routine would have been very different if I were a farm laborer, or a soldier, or an accountant for that matter, or a civil servant. Yes or no? So मैं दिन भर क्या करता हूं, किस समय, मेरा पूरी दिनचर्या क्या है, किस पे निर्भर करता है? On the nature of my work. So work occupies a substantial chunk of our waking hours. Most of our waking hours, either we are working or we are traveling to work or planning towards or for work or something of the sort. Yes or no? So हमारा daily routine, schedule क्या determine करता है? Our work. और बताइए. हाँ, you have many reasons to work. Tell me. Good. Tell me in simple bhasha. Society looks down upon people who do not, even rich people. People like you who come from a privileged background. No, really. Will society look down upon privileged people if they do not work? Tell me, privileged people. Will society? क्या सोसाइटी आपको कंटेम्प्ट की निगाहों से देखेगी अगर आप काम नहीं करोगे? Yes or no? The answer is yes. In other words, friends, work has come to be regarded as a virtue in modern society. It is considered as one of the biggest virtues. Please appreciate it was not always so. In olden times, the rich, the ruling classes, the privileged used to not work. Why? Work was associated with the lowly. गरीब टुच्चे लोग करते हैं काम. Are you with me? अमीर लोग क्या करते हैं? या ruling classes क्या करते हैं? We philosophize. We patronize the arts. समझ रहे हैं आप? काम ये कोल्हू के बैल जो मजदूर लोग होते हैं, जिनको खाने के वांदे पड़े होते हैं, ये लोग करते हैं. But since the Protestant Reformation, the societal attitudes towards work have significantly changed. Now work is put on a pedestal. Yes or no? Now, no matter in modern society, no matter which social strata you belong to, or which segment of the society you belong to work and to work hard is a desirable trait. Yes or no? It is a desirable social trait. Irrespective of your socio-economic background or position. मोदी जी क्या करते हैं? वर्क, बैक ब्रेकिंग वर्क, 18-18, 25-25 घंटे दिन में काम करते हैं मोदी जी. Yes or no? That is the aura of work in the present times. ठीक? And corollarily, to not work is considered as sinful. A sign of depravity. निकम्मा कामचोर होता है जो काम नहीं करता. It's like a गाली. Yes or no? अगर आप अमीर हो और आप काम नहीं करते तो आप क्या हो? बड़े बाप की बिगड़ी औलाद हो. Yes or no? So now, whichever strata, आप मोदी जी हो, आप अंबानी जी हो, does मुकेश अंबानी work? Yes. And he works hard. Yes or no? Does he need to work for livelihood or sustenance? No. अरे no. Why does he need to work for sustenance? वो चाहे पूरा देश खा ले 3 पुश्तें बैठ के. इतना धन है उसके पास. ठीक? But there is a certain virtue, a certain desirable quality which has come to be associated with work. जैसे श्री कार्ल मार्क्स ने कहा था, अगर मार्क्स की माने तो work is the species essence of man. It is what makes us human beings. हमारी प्रवृत्ति है, हमारा innate nature है या tendency है to work, to labor. Yes or no? Marx की माने, so work can be potentially the most satisfying of all activities. Yes or no? It is in one's work that one can express one's individuality, creativity, personality. Work, friends, also provides the main social setting of modern man. Main social setting in the sense are main or important, numerous important social relationships are formed at the workplace. So it is the workplace which provides a very important social setting. Yes or no? Numerous important social relationships, such as the employer-employee relationship, जिसके रहमो करम से मेरा घर चल रहा है, वो मुझे कहां मिला? At the workplace. And not just the employer-employee relationship. वो तो टीचर्स के लिए हो गया ना, specific, but in general, she's saying the teacher-student relationship, but I'm saying that's specific for those in the teaching profession. but so many others. For example, the supervisor-subordinate relationship. The relationship between colleagues at work. Yes or no? या co-workers के साथ जो आपका relationship होता है, अपने supervisors के साथ होता है, employer के साथ होता है, subordinates के साथ होता है. And not just work-related relationships are formed at the workplace. Friendships are forged at the workplace. Yes or no? If I am a factory worker, who would you expect my friends to be? Fellow factory workers. If I am a teacher, who are my friends likely to be? Fellow teachers and students. Yes or no? If I am a doctor, what will my circle be? Fellow doctors ka. Yes or no? Romantic relationships people enter into at the workplace. Affairs होते हैं. होते नहीं होते. Very important dimension. Sexual relationships होते हैं at the workplace. Many or several forge kinship relationships. Spouses. कहाँ मिलते हैं कई लोगों को? At the workplace या based on work, including civil servants. One of the first things which you do after selection is what? Look for a spouse. Two main criteria. क्या? To select the spouse, एक तो सर्विस देखोगे, काडर नहीं, कास्ट देखोगे. काडर वाडर मैनेज हो जाता है. ठीक है. So point is that workplace is a source of numerous important social relationships. Work. It is through one's work that society gauges or measures, captures the worth of a person. Like it or not, fortunately or unfortunately, but it is through our work that society gauges our contribution. Yes or no? मैं समाज के लिए कितना उपयोगी हूं, समाज किस तरह से इसको आइडेंटिफाई, कैलकुलेट, गेज करेगा? Based on my work. So मेरी समाज वर्थ कैसे कैलकुलेट कर रहा है? Based on my work. Not just the society. How do people gauge their self-worth? Again, based on their work. It gives me a sense of being a worthwhile member of the society. If I am engaged in this particular profession. Yes or no? Is it also necessary for the society as a whole, apart from the individual? Is work important for the society also? क्यों? सोसाइटी को क्या करना, मैं क्या करूं? I mean, I know it's a वाहियात question, but I want your inputs. Why is it important for the society? अरे भैया, economic growth कैसे होगी? If people or members of the society work. So work from a societal perspective is important to ensure production, and economic growth. So if we want the standard of living of the people to rise, we need people as a society to be gainfully employed. Yes or no? Because of work schedules, family as an institution is stabilized. Family as an institution is stabilized. Yeah? I said family as an institution is stabilized. Simply put, friends, it is because, when you get up in the morning, the husband goes to his workplace, the wife goes to her workplace, that they are able to carry on together. अगर दोनों घर पे बैठे रहेंगे तो क्या होगा? सर फूटेंगे, कलेश होंगे. Yes or no? कहते हैं ना, familiarity breeds contempt. ठीक है? So if you stay together too much, for example, during the lockdowns in the pandemic, we actually witnessed a rise in domestic violence. What the UN, no less, termed as a shadow pandemic. Are you with me? लोग घर पे बैठे थे वेल्ले, क्या हो रहे थे? लड़ाई झगड़े हो रहे थे, या विमेन पे अत्याचार हो रहे थे, वायलेंस हो रहा था. Yes or no? So if both get up in the morning and go about their daily work-related schedules, then you meet in the evening and you say, hello darling, how was your day? Oh, I did this at work. Yes or no? तो परिवार, गाड़ी सही सलामत आगे चलती रहती है. If people are gainfully employed, it also reduces the levels of crime, violence in the society. क्राइम को कंट्रोल में रखता है. वेल्ले लोग क्या करेंगे? दंगे करेंगे. Really? So one of the reasons, for instance, we find wherever, say, communal riots taking place, it is because one of the factors amongst many is that there are scarce or few job opportunities and too many claimants. Are you with me? साफ बात है, जैसे परिवार में स्टेबिलिटी आती है, इसी तरह समाज में भी स्टेबिलिटी, ऑर्डर आता है. If people are gainfully engaged in work. ठीक? तो इसलिए हम सब क्या करेंगे? Work. Even those who are privileged, like him. ठीक? So clearly, friends, work is extremely important for the individual as well as the society. And with that introduction, we now delve into the first topic, which is the social organization of work in different types of societies. First, we will discuss or compare the nature of work in feudal society and industrial capitalist society. And we'll do so quickly because we've already covered it elsewhere, earlier. So it will only be a quick recap. You can tabulate, right? That's like easier in presentation and quicker notes making. Feudal society versus industrial capitalist society. In feudal society, what is the nature of the economy? What is the primary economic activity? Agriculture and allied activities. Yes or no? While in the industrial society, what is the key or primary economic activity? Manufacturing. ठीक? The division of labor in feudal society is relatively simpler. While in modern industrial society, we have a complex division of labor. What is the basis of division of labor in feudal society? It is ascriptive criteria like caste, gender, age, right? And what's the basis of division of labor in modern industrial society? Skill sets, educational qualifications, inclination, ityadi. What is the main workplace in feudal society? Where do people work? Farms, fields, खेतों में काम होता है. And in modern industrial societies, factories and offices में काम होता है. The quantum of production as also production efficiency is lower in case of feudal society and more in capitalist industrial society. Yes or no? The total output as well as the production efficiency is lesser in feudal and more in industrial society. Technology is less developed in feudal society and it is quite advanced in case of industrial capitalism. ठीक? Alienation. बताओ ना. Alienation in capitalism, does it exist? And does it exist in feudal society? It does. It does exist, though it is lesser. So alienation is present in feudal society, but it reaches its peak in capitalist society. There is really, literally nothing new that we've discussed here. It was only a quick recap, right? Also, what is the role of the family? In feudal society, the family operates as a unit of production. The family is a unit of production in feudal society. Yes or no? So say if we are in agriculture, the husband is in harvesting, then the wife will be sowing the seeds or something of the sort. If the husband is looking after the fields, the wife is looking after the dairy or something of the sort, right? But in industrial capitalism, the family ceases to be a unit of production. The family no more operates as a unit of production. But क्या है family का role in the economy? It is an important unit of consumption in industrial capitalism. It functions as an important unit of consumption. in industrial society. In other words, friends, a lot of money is spent in the name of the family. A lot of purchases are made in the name of the family. In capitalist, if I am buying a car, am I buying it for myself? No. Who am I buying it for? For family. If I am buying a house, am I buying it for myself? Buying it for family. If I am buying parde, curtains, am I buying them for myself? I am buying them for family. If I am buying a microwave oven, am I buying it for myself? I am buying it for family. Paint खरीद रहा हूं मैं, खुद खाऊंगा. It is for family. That is why you will see, even lot of this advertising is targeted at the family. Advertisements, they'll show these very happy, bubbly families. Yes or no? घर पेंट हो रहा है, बच्चे भी लगे हुए हैं, माँ बाप भी लगे हुए हैं, या कार आई है तो उसमें हस्बैंड वाइफ 4-6 बच्चे सब घुस गए. Yes or no? And going on a family picnic. Yes or no? So family emerges as an important unit of consumption in industrial society. ठीक? चलिए अब चलते हैं to appreciate the distinction between the feudal society and the slave society. Feudal and slave society. Hello, yeah. Where was I? We were beginning to discuss slave society and feudal society. In the Marxist framework, the slave society is the first class society. It is the first class society. Matlab, when surplus starts getting generated and the notion of private property emerges, then the first class distinctions that appear is that between masters and slaves. So there are two main classes in slave society, namely masters. The haves are known as masters, who are in a numerical minority, and the numerical majority of the have-nots class, which is the slaves. In feudal society, the two main classes are feudal lords and serfs. Is the nature of the economy in the two systems any different? The answer is yes, clearly. In slave society, it is basically plantation work and agriculture. Agriculture is in an incipient stage, early, basic techniques, etc. are used in slave society. I repeat, in slave society, you have plantation work and rudimentary type of agriculture. ठीक? Basic level of agriculture. While in feudal society, there is advanced agriculture. Also, feudal societies enjoy greater control over water bodies. Greater control over the water bodies. In feudalism, we also witness the development of guilds. Guilds. You understand guilds? They are like occupational blocks, for lack of a... हिंदी में श्रेणी बोलते हैं. So श्रेणियों का जन्म होता है. So you have these occupational guilds, so say potters and ironsmiths, etc. They form these kind of associations, loose network, where they will try to ensure that their trade secrets are not revealed and the interests of the members of the occupation are taken care of, etc. ठीक? Why does feudalism replace slavery? Because feudalism is a much more efficient mode of production. So production efficiency in feudalism is higher than in slavery. Production efficiency is higher in feudalism than in slavery. Why? For that we need to appreciate the nature of this system a little more in depth. Tell me, friends, is the position of the क्या नाम है तुम्हारा serf in feudalism the same as that of the slave in slavery? Yes or no? Is the position of the serf in feudalism the same as that of the slave in slavery? Yes or no? The answer is no, clearly not. Though both are subject classes, or both are have-nots, both are the oppressed and the exploited. But the serfs are in a very different social position than the slaves. How? Slaves जो होते हैं in slavery, the slaves are considered as chattel. Chattel matlab as property of the masters. Simply, friends, like I own a car, I own a pet dog. Likewise, I own a slave in slavery, another human being. ठीक? The serfs, on the other hand, are not owned by the lords. They are not the property of the lords. They do serve the lords. They are in the service of the lords, but they are not owned by the lords. So what do the masters give to the slaves in slavery? Wages? No, not wages. Wages कौन किसको देता है? Capitalist देता है worker को in capitalism में. The slaves are given subsistence. They are just provided with the means of subsistence. Subsistence मतलब ताकि मैं जीवित रहूं और काम करता रहूं, इतना मुझको देता है. Irrespective of the quantum of the produce. In other words, if you are my master, I am your slave, right? And whether I produce 10 quintal rice working on your fields, or I produce 100 quintals, what do I get at the end of the day? I get 3 rotis to keep me alive and working on your fields. In other words, I, the slave, do not have any incentive to produce more. In contrast, in feudalism, the serfs get a share of the produce. Sharecropping का system होता है. मतलब, for example, hypothetical, say the serfs are entitled to, say, hypothetically 20% of the produce. So if I produce 10 quintal, what do I get? 2 quintals. And if I produce 100 quintals for you, how much do I get? 20 quintals. Matlab, there is inbuilt incentive for the serfs to produce more. ठीक? In slavery system, the slaves do not own anything. Not even their own bodies. They are owned by who? Masters. Right? In some slavery systems, friends, the slaves were even prohibited from reproduction. They were prohibited from reproducing. बच्चे पैदा करने पे पाबंदी थी slaves की. In contrast, in feudalism, the serfs did own certain tools and implements, and also enjoyed bodily autonomy. They were also, there were no prohibitions on reproduction by the serfs. I repeat, the serfs owned basic tools and implements. For example, I don't have land. Land is owned by you, the Lord. I'm the serf. Okay? But I do own the hull with which I plow your land. I own the plow. Yes or no? I, of course, have control, decision-making power regarding my own body. Are you with me? Now, how were new slaves acquired in slavery? See, they were prohibited reproduction because, the fear was that they should not outnumber the masters. That if they are allowed to reproduce without any, this thing, they will outnumber the masters. So there were prohibitions on reproduction. But how does that work? Because in any case, the have-nots do outnumber the haves. Yes or no? Simply, how this system worked, please appreciate. How it evolved, so earlier you had primitive communism. So you had these small hunting-gathering tribes, classless kind of communities, right? As population grew, different tribes, they would come in contact with each other. Okay, and there will be intertribal warfare for control over the natural resources. So the members of the losing tribe, they were, the surviving members of the losing tribe, what we call nowadays prisoners of war. They were made into slaves. Are you with me? That is how slavery system acquired slaves. So reproduction was prohibited so that people from a particular tribe should not become, the enslaved tribe should not become too numerous or outnumber the master tribe. Are you with me? So how would new slaves be acquired? Any system requires continuous supply of new members. How will you acquire new slaves? Through, again, engaging in inter-tribal warfare, defeating another tribe, and then making its surviving members converting them into slaves. ठीक? Now, if you are one of those master tribes, is this a good system or not? Are you happy with this system? If you're a master tribe or not? Why are you not happy, Bitya? But what about that fear that they might outnumber you guys and then overthrow you? Restricted number of children. See, friends, now the problem with this system of acquiring new slaves is it's very uncertain. If you engage in an inter-tribal warfare, there is no guarantee that you will be the winning tribe. You can be killed in warfare. You might lose and be made into slaves. Yes or no? So it's a very high risk kind of an economic system. Are you with me? That is why, that is another reason why there was a shift to feudalism. In feudalism, again you require this thing of serfs. How do you acquire new serfs? How do you acquire new serfs? Through reproduction. Simply, जो serfs के बच्चे होंगे वो next generation of lords को serve करेंगे. And how do you ensure that they will not overthrow? In that, ideological control plays a very important role, and through organized religion. That is why organized religion plays a very central role in feudal societies as a device of ideological control over the subject class. ठीक? Religion उनको सिखा देगा कि blah blah. Blah blah मतलब that they must accept their position and it's just and fair and everything. ठीक? Now when new members of the subject class are acquired, this is a much more peaceful, non-threatening kind of a mechanism than warfare. Okay? So this is the difference between slave society and feudal society. Do you want a break? Like now? Take it. You need a break from work? लीजिए. Yes. Friends, please settle down. Moving ahead. ठीक है, now we will discuss work work in industrial society. Work in industrial society. Specifically, we will be discussing about management. Management. What do you understand by management? क्या होती है management? बिटिया, very enthusiastic. Guys, हाँ, where the work is done? Wonderful. ठीक है, that is indeed a very, very comprehensive kind of an but not just, not comprehensive enough. Quite comprehensive, but not comprehensive enough. मतलब कुछ छूट गया. हाँ? What else? How else can we understand what management is? She has very aptly explained it. और बताइए, what is management? Any students of management here? MBA? अच्छा, तभी. MBA या BBA वगैरह कहीं भी पढ़ा होगा? या any other, even as a layman, do you have some, will you as civil servants, do civil servants engage in management? Do they do management? क्या होती है, क्या करते हैं? What is this management, brother? Hierarchical system, defining the flow of info. Okay, धन्यवाद भैया. With a feedback, with a feedback mechanism pathway. ठीक है, बिटिया. The art of getting work done from others, to achieve the organizational goals. लोगों से काम निकलवाने की कला is what is management according to her. बिटिया? ठीक है, so keeping the organizational goals सर्वोपरि, different people coordinate their, or departments coordinate their tasks. Brother? He's saying it's a grievance redressal mechanism for the subordinate employees, but with due respect, that's a very limited, portion of the managerial role. मैनेजमेंट का एक छोटा भाग है जो आपने बोला, ग्रीवेंस रिड्रेसल मैकेनिज्म. सो यस, वी कैन, or one way this the managerial functions have been captured are by the acronym POSTCOB. POSTCOB basically captures the management functions, namely planning, organizing, staffing, directing, coordinating, reporting, and budgeting. ठीक? Planning, organizing, staffing, directing, coordinating, reporting, and budgeting. This acronym POSTCOP thus adequately captures the, what constitutes management. Management क्या है? Management है जब आप, या another way of defining it could be as, ensuring the optimal utilization of the limited resources of an organization in order to achieve its goals in the most efficient manner. Okay? And this POSTCOP, this acronym, has been coined by Bitya. The Bitya with the horizontal hand. Na. By Galik and Urvik. I heard it wrong then. By Galik and Urvik. This is how Galik and Urvik explain what is management. Planning, organizing, staffing, directing, coordinating, reporting and budgeting. ठीक? Now, an important question before us, friends. As students of management, people spend 2 years for a degree in management. We'll do it in like half an hour. The crux of it. As students of management, tell me, an important question before us is whether management is an art or a science. Both will not do. You must pick sides. That convenient both. और खबरदार जो बोला it's an artful science या scientific art, वो तो कतई not. So tell me, is it in the nature of an art? क्या ये एक कला है? लोगों से काम निकलवा पाना, कहते हैं एक कला होती है, या कुछ लोगों में, some people have that knack of getting things done by others. You may have heard that phrase, some people are born managers. Are you with me? Just like a Lata Mangeshkar is born with singing talent or with that kind of a voice, or Sachin Tendulkar was born with cricketing skill. Likewise, you have born managers. कुछ लोगों में ये कला होती है पैदाइशी कि वो औरों से काम निकलवा सकते हैं. Or is it a science? When we say science, we mean it follows certain principles. Or you can have certain generalizations, some sort of laws based on empirical data. What is the nature of management? How many of you have any managerial experience? Raise your hands. Just 2, 3. Come on, others, you'll not be chadhawad on Suli. In your lived experience, having worked as managers, what is your take? Is it a science or is it an art? Bitya, brother? It is an art. And why do you say that? There was no data sheta. It requires a lot of people skills. And dealing with people, by its very nature, involves an element of subjectivity, emotions, etc. So that's why you're suggesting it is an art. Correct me if I'm wrong. Like if I'm paraphrasing your thoughts incorrectly. Bitya? Firstly, what is your stance? Is it a science or an art? More of an art. And why do you say that? It is an imbibed art. You learn it through human interactions. It is definitely, she's suggesting, an art. हाँ, बिटिया. She says management is a science. Core science. हाँ. बड़ा मतलब grows in an organization. हाँ. So there are certain rules of human behavior, of getting things done, certain principles of which, if followed, we can get things done far more efficiently, etc., irrespective of the personal, idiosyncrasies of workers. She's saying with science, anybody can be a good manager. Only some would be born managers or have that knack of managing. Brother, have you worked, or it's a layman? You worked in a managerial role? Okay. Bachche, please, no talking. Ha. He was working in a restaurant managing the buffet. Ha. He was not a cook. And what's your verdict? Is it a science or an art? It is a science. Huh. So he's saying, if I, without having a, any sort of training, formal training or academic background in hospitality, if I could learn it, so can others. Because there are certain underlying principles, etc. Bitya? It is a science or an art, first and foremost? Science. So you go with a certain number, that this is the revenue that we are targeting. And then things follow. Ki how much resources we'll allocate where, whether it is personnel, whether it is funding, whether it is infrastructure. You quantify people's skills. हाँ, ये नहीं है कि आप में बहुत गुण है तो लोग आपका सारा काम करके दे देंगे. हाँ, it is not about any special qualities that these some super managers possess. It is based on empirical data, the available resources, quantification, scientific kind of assignment of resources to different tasks. That effective management can be done in an organization. Okay, friends. So, yes, we are a divided house, and so was the academic community. Or the academic field of study of management was also quite divided on the issue. In fact, in the early phases of industrial capitalism, kya naam hai tumhara? Management was regarded as an art, was considered as an art. But then comes on the scene Frederick W. Taylor. And he suggests that management is a science. It is a scientific endeavor. Without a shred of doubt. Management is a science. In fact, his theory is known as the scientific management approach. Taylor gave the theory of scientific management. After him, the scientific management approach is also known as Taylorism. ठीक? Scientific management approach is also known as Taylorism. It was successfully applied on a large scale by Henry Ford of the Ford Motor Company. Right? The founder of the Ford Motor Company, Henry Ford, applied scientific management approach on a large scale and quite successfully. Henry Ford, he's the guy who founded the Ford Motor Company. हम सबने Ford की गाड़ियां देखी होंगी, सुनी होंगी. Therefore, it is also known as Fordism. Fordism. Taylorism, Fordism, scientific management, सब एक ही चीज है. ठीक है? To give you a sense of import of this theory, okay? Peter Drucker, who is like one of the leading management gurus. Have you heard of Peter Drucker? क्या MBA किए हो? अच्छा नहीं किया. Peter Drucker, he is like one of the topmost 20th century management gurus, and he said that there are three main founders of the modern world. Three main. लिखने की जरूरत नहीं है यार, कभी कुछ ना भी लिखा करो. चीजों का स्वाद लो. Three main founders of the modern world, namely who? Not Ford. Marx. One is Shri Karl Marx. Or who? तुक्का मारो. अरे कहाँ जीसस? नहीं, not Newton. One of the leading scientists actually. नहीं, not Einstein, not Edison. Charles Darwin. And who? Not Taylor. यही तो मजे की बात है. Not Ford. Freud. अरे तुम्हारा सिगमंड फ्रॉइड. हाँ, तो हम क्यों ये बोल रहे हैं जब हम टेलरिज्म पढ़ रहे हैं? Because Drucker was of the view that if scientific management continues to be applied for a few more decades, F.W. Taylor can possibly replace Karl Marx as one of the founders of the modern world. ठीक है? मतलब ये सब लिखने की कोई बात नहीं है, कोई नहीं जरूरत है. It's just that महसूस करो उसकी इंपॉर्टेंस को. ठीक है? Now, point is, what does he say? So, what he says is, see, the context in which Taylor was writing. He was writing in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. What does he, in that, the industrial climate that time was marred by a lot of strife, industrial conflict between workers and management. वही पुरानी बात जो मार्क्स ने देखी और ऑब्जर्व करी और लिखी कि वर्कर्स वर वांटिंग हायर वेजेस एंड better work conditions, longer rest periods, shorter working hours, etc. While management was striving for maximizing profits by cutting down wages, increasing work hours, etc. So there was regular, what we call industrial conflict. कभी वर्कर्स स्ट्राइक पे जा रहे हैं, कभी मैनेजमेंट पीनल एक्शन ले रहा है, एंड सो ऑन एंड सो फोर्थ. बिकॉज ऑफ विच लॉट ऑफ इंडस्ट्रीज, लॉट ऑफ फैक्ट्रीज वर लॉस मेकिंग. Many were forced to shut down. It was in such an industrial climate that Taylor outlined his scientific approach to management. लिखवा भी दूंगा, ठीक है? So you need not note down. I'll give you a brief this thing. Now what he says that how do you manage the workplace scientifically? And when we say workplace, we are talking about a factory setting. This was primarily in the context of factory production. So how do you organize work scientifically? And why should you? So firstly, you have these large-scale tasks. They need to be broken down into smaller and simpler components. ठीक है? Then you have to, you matlab the management has to scientifically select the workforce. The management has to scientifically select the workforce. Scientifically selecting matlab matching the skills, characteristics of the workers with the requirements of the job or the task at hand. ठीक? Then any task can be done in a variety of ways. Any task can be accomplished in a variety of ways. For example, if we are Ford Motor Company, okay? So what are we doing? We are producing cars, manufacturing cars. So manufacturing cars is a big and complex process. We divide it into smaller parts. Manufacturing cars involves chassis बनाओगे, engine बनाओगे, दरवाजे बनाओगे, कांच लगाओगे, पेंट करोगे, screws कहीं ना कहीं तो लगेंगे ही लगेंगे, टायर लगाओगे, and so on and so forth. Right? Now pick any task. Say painting. Let us pick up one of the simpler ones, painting the car. That can be done in a variety of ways. So say these guys are the painting department of Ford Motor Company. You guys are in another, you guys are in another. Now one way of painting the car is that say one worker paints the whole car. So each worker is assigned a separate car. ठीक? And then you paint your car. Another possibility is that you have 4 workers assigned per car, and within each car, each worker say paints one door. 4 दरवाजे होते हैं मोटा मोटी, सबको एक एक दे दिया. Another could be that say you form teams of 2. So left side you guys are painting, the right side you guys are painting. And उसमें भी you are holding the dabba, the paint box, and dipping the paintbrush and handing it to him, and he's painting. Or you both are handling your own separate paint boxes and dipping your own brushes and painting. Or you could have paint dripping from the top and you guys painting. Or the paint dabba lying on the floor and you dipping it. Various combinations and permutations are possible. Yes or no? गाड़ी को एक सिंपल सा पेंट करने के सैकड़ों तरीके हैं. But there is only one best way. There is only one best way of performing any task. Best way meaning the most efficient. Most efficient meaning that which takes least amount of time and resources. So out of these numerous ways in which the car can be painted, there is only one best or most efficient way of painting the car. So, in order to increase productivity, it is important that we identify that one best or most efficient way. Who will do it? The management. It is the responsibility of the management to identify the one best way of performing any task. Say in our example, painting the door of a car. And how will the management go about finding out which is the best way? How will you find out? You will conduct experiments and collect data. These experiments which scientific management approach proposed were called back then time and motion studies. Time and motion studies. क्या होती है टाइम एंड मोशन स्टडीज? कुछ नहीं होती. The management, say in this case, क्या नाम है तुम्हारा? Taylor. What he would do, he would tell these workers, okay, you guys, you paint the door in this way. Okay, one door each person, one car. Other 5 guys, you do it this way. Another 10 guys, you do it this way. And then he will sit there with the stopwatch. See how much time are they taking when they are performing a particular type of motion. Are they doing any wasteful actions? Are you with me? So through time and motion studies, yani capturing empirically through observation, which is the most efficient or the best way to perform any task, the management will be, it is their duty to identify. Clearly? Okay? Then you have to train the workforce. वर्कफोर्स कैसे है? कैसे हो आप लोग? अनपढ़. Yes or no? So it is the responsibility of the management to train the workers with the requisite skills. अगर skill upgradation चाहिए वो करो, जो भी चाहिए. Make them capable so that they can then employ or use the one best way. And if this is done consistently, regularly, rationally, objectively, based on data, based on time and motion studies, Taylor claimed it can result in what he called a mental revolution. It will bring about a mental revolution. Matlab, it will transform people's way of thinking. It will have a very positive effect on industrial relations, workers' relations with management. Till then, please appreciate, for any dip in productivity, the management put the blame squarely on workers. So workers were seen as lazy bums. Are you with me? Workers कैसे होते हैं? कामचोर, निकम्मे होते हैं. ये लोग काम नहीं करते, इसलिए फैक्ट्री घाटे में जा रही है. The workers viewed the management as, suffering from an insatiable greed. ये लालची लोग क्या चाहते हैं? मैं काम कर करके मर जाऊं, हैं? जो ये 2 कौड़ी देते हैं उसके लिए. So the relationship between management and workers was very hostile. Both were clamoring and fighting incessantly for a greater share of the pie. कि मान लो वही हमारी 1000 रुपए की शर्ट बिकी, तो 400 रुपया किसको मिलना चाहिए? 600 रुपया किसको मिलना चाहिए? Yes or no? But if scientific management approach is used, it will lead to such a drastic increase in productivity that it will alter people's thinking of both management and workers. So instead of continuously bickering on how to divide the pie, both will, combine their energies and efforts to increase the size of the pie. Are you with me? इतनी ज़्यादा efficiency बढ़ जाएगी that all the stakeholders will stand to benefit. Workers will end up taking higher wages home. Management will benefit in terms of higher profits. Even customers will benefit by lower prices. Simply wastage कम कर दी हमने, efficiency बढ़ा दी. So the gains can then be shared amongst the various stakeholders. ठीक, ये है साइंटिफिक मैनेजमेंट. लिखो, हेलो लिखो. So please put it on silent. Whoever's phone is ringing, please put it on silent. That's the bell which I have rung. If anybody's phone is ringing, please put it on silent. चलिए लिखिए. Scientific management approach. No crosstalk. Frederick W. Taylor, F.W. Taylor, in his book Principles of Scientific Management, इनको चार्जिंग में लगा दीजिए ना एक्स्ट्रा सेल्स को. In his book Principles of Scientific Management, suggests that significant increase in productivity can be achieved in factory production by applying 4 key principles as follows. First, analyze every job scientifically. Analyze every job scientifically. In the same point, large and complex tasks should be divided into smaller and simpler tasks. Second, scientific selection of workers. Scientific selection of workers. Same point. It is the responsibility of the management to ensure that people with the requisite skills and characteristics are selected for every job. It is the management's responsibility to ensure that people with the requisite skills and characteristics, knowledge, etc., are selected for every job. For example, friends, say you are on the factory floor, and there is some, you need, the work involves picking up something from a shelf which is slightly high up. Then which type of persons you should be selecting for that task? Tall persons than, say, short persons. Yes or no? Or there is another task which requires a lot of muscle or physical strength. Heavy lifting is to be done. Then who should be selected? People with stronger bodies. Or there is another task which requires, say, nimble fingers. Are you with me? Who should be selected? Those who have nimble fingers. Say possibly women, or children, or whoever. But point is that you select, and this we are just talking about the physical characteristics. There can be so many other things. Say you require somebody for programming. I am a good civil engineer. Should you select me? Of course not. I'll be wasteful. Yes or no? So point is, you match people's capabilities, skill sets, characteristics with the requirements of the job. That is scientific selection of workers. Third, scientific training of the workforce. Meaning what? If any skill upgradation, technical know-how, etc. is required for the performance of any task, whose responsibility is it to ensure that the workers have the requisite this thing? The management. Okay? Fourth, cooperation. Dash. Taylor suggests that the management and the workers should work in close and regular cooperation. Close and regular cooperation. Take. So these are the four main principles. Now, next para. Close and regular cooperation. Next para. Taylor considered that the management should scientifically determine the one best way to perform a job, through time and motion studies. Full stop. Workers have to be then taught the one best way comma sufficiently motivated by good pay and incentives, and closely monitored to ensure high levels of labor productivity. Full stop. Taylor considered that if scientific management principles are consistently applied, it will significantly reduce wastage. It will significantly reduce wastage, increase labor productivity, and ensure harmonious industrial relations. Full stop. Scientific management can lead to a mental revolution. And the benefits of increased productivity will benefit all the key stakeholders, including management, workforce, and customers. ठीक, कैसी लगी इनकी बात? सही है या नहीं है? सही in the sense not theoretically. Do you think, what is your sense? Was Taylorism or scientific management successful in, or did it yield the results that it claimed would follow? What is your layman observation of industrial history? Brother? Yes? हाँ. But that's like one company and one industry. Huh? So it was then replicated in every other industry. Brother? So you were saying it was successful, clearly. Huh? What now appears to be very, obvious or this thing, that it does not even need being stated. But that time it was a very different kind of this thing, notion of management. So you're saying it is obviously successful. Bitya? So you are saying that this has been applied across, like something quite like what he was also suggesting. You had something? ठीक है. So, brother? You have aptitude tests and बिल्कुल ठीक है. So yes, clearly friends, scientific management approach was a runaway success. Undoubtedly, as many of you have rightly pointed out, it was an undoubtedly a huge success. क्या नाम है तुम्हारा? Taylor. Taylor worked as a consultant to 2 steel plants. Okay, both of which were in the red, matlab were loss-making units. And within few months, he applied scientific management and he was able to turn around their fortunes. They became profitable once again. So he brought these 2 steel plants, from the brink of closure into profitability. But it's not just about 2 isolated steel plants. As has been rightly pointed out, it was very successfully implemented by Henry Ford. And in its aftermath, it was replicated by other automobile manufacturers. Why just automobile? Across industries. So this assembly line production system based on scientific management principles became very widely applied across industries. ठीक? And not just in the capitalist world, more so in Eastern Bloc. It was widely applied. Because, there it is even more applicable because there is centralization, centralized planning and everything. Huh? So clearly it was a hit. Yet, Taylor, right, who had helped turn around the fortunes of these 2 steel plants as a consultant, he was unceremoniously kicked out from both. Due to opposition from who? Workers. Why? Why would the workers oppose Taylorism? You're absolutely right. But why did the workers oppose Taylorism? Sorry? Yes, brother? Extracting as much as we can from the workforce. Yes? So why was Taylor? It was opposed by the workers, friends. Taylorism faced very stiff opposition and criticism from workers. Why? Because they saw Taylorism as dehumanizing. It didn't treat workers as human beings. Are you with me? They were treated as a resource which was input in the production process. Very mechanical, cold, rational treatment of human beings. So the human element, the human dimension was missing in Taylorism. अब भैया मैं ऐसा पेंट उठा रहा हूं या ऐसे उठा रहा हूं, तुम हर चीज पे मेरी बाल की खाल निकालोगे? Are you with me? Very minute control by the management. Are you with me? All of this was strongly resented by the workforce. Workers were now treated like a cog in the gigantic machine, as if they were an appendage to the machinery. जैसे हम मशीन को देखते हैं भैया कैसे कितना तेल खा रही है, कितना आउटपुट दे रही है, उसी तरह आप ह्यूमन बींग्स को देख रहे हो. एक बात बताओ, you are the owner of an industry which is on the brink of closure. right? You are a capitalist owner of a factory which is on the brink of closure. You have this outside consultant who turns around the fortunes. Not just theoretical, but practically implements, shows that it works. So because of some opposition from workers, will you remove him? Taylorism also faced stiff resistance from managers. But why would managers be opposed to Taylorism? Managers were also critical of scientific management. Please appreciate what scientific management did. Earlier, managers with experience or proven skill, capabilities, they were very valued in the industry. उनको बहुत पैसा मिलता था. मान लो मैं स्टील प्लांट चला रहा हूँ, आई एम अ कैपिटलिस्ट, यू हैव वर्कड इन अनदर स्टील प्लांट फॉर 10 years and consistently that company made profits. Then I will try to catch you, offering you a very handsome pay. But now what does Taylorism say? इनका कोई नैक वैक नहीं है. मैनेजमेंट क्या है? साइंटिफिक है. So conducting experiments, we can figure out what is the one best way. So मैनेजमेंट की जो वैल्यू थी वो कम कर दी. Not just that, उनकी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी बढ़ा दी. Earlier, management used to pin the blame for low production on workers. But in Taylorism, Taylor is categorical that production is the combined responsibility of workers and management. जिम्मेवारी बढ़ा दी, वैल्यू कम कर दी. तो management was also unhappy with Taylorism. ठीक? So, somewhat addressing these criticisms, specifically that Taylorism is dehumanizing for the workers. Another managerial approach became popular, known as the human relations approach. Human relations approach. This human relations approach is most closely associated with the name of Elton Mayo. Elton Mayo. And there was a set of experiments known as the Hawthorne studies or the Hawthorne experiments which were conducted in America. इलिनॉय में एक हॉथॉर्न उस टाउन का पुराना नाम था जहां पे वेस्टर्न इलेक्ट्रिक का प्लांट होता था. वहां पे ये सब छोड़ो, हॉथॉर्न एक्सपेरिमेंट किए गए. ठीक है. In these Hawthorne studies या experiments, the researchers were trying to identify the relationship between the physical work conditions and worker productivity. Physical work conditions and workers' productivity. The researchers were trying to identify the relationship between the physical conditions at work and workers' productivity. Physical work conditions हो गई, stuff like lighting. Are you with me? How does the lighting in the workplace affect worker output? या temperature, ventilation, rest breaks, ये सारी चीजें, how they affect worker productivity. Initially it was other researchers who were conducting these experiments. Mayo joins later. Now what these researchers saw, that when lighting was when the workplace was well lit, it was a factory setting. So when it was well lit, the worker productivity was high. When it was well ventilated, the worker productivity was high. When the temperature was maintained at a very comfortable kind of this thing, and the workers were given regular rest breaks, the productivity was high. But when the physical work conditions were, adverse, matlab workers were not given adequate rest breaks, the lighting was not optimum, etc., then the worker productivity remained high. In other words, and contrary to popular expectation, in other words, the researchers could not establish a clear relationship between the physical work conditions and the workers' productivity. One would expect कि भैया जब लाइटिंग अच्छी है तो अच्छा काम कर लेंगे, ज़्यादा कर लेंगे, कम होगी तो कम करेंगे, पर ऐसा नहीं था. So they could not establish any clear relationship between the conditions at work and workers' productivity. It remained high, irrespective. So the researchers also felt high. How is this? How would you explain high worker productivity, irrespective of the physical conditions? Any guesses? We'll come to that. That was also covered, but we'll come to it in just a while. You're saying money is the motivating factor, but we'll come to that separately. But that was not the case here. Habit, उनको आदत थी, है, चाहे कैसी ही हो, brother. The internal. So the worker productivity remained high because the workers knew they were being observed. ठीक. In fact, since then, this is known as the Hawthorne effect. Simply, when you know you are being observed, then that knowledge itself tends to modify one's behavior. Are you with me? So because they knew they were being experimented upon, they knew that they were under observation by the management, they continued to produce at a high level irrespective of whether the work conditions are favorable or somewhat adverse. ठीक? But then you can't catch really the true, how it would have been in natural kind of conditions. Khair. Enters now Mr. Elton Mayo. And what he did identify, he concluded that there is, or workers' productivity is affected by what? No, not the work conditions. By the nature of supervisory techniques which are employed. Workers' productivity is affected by the nature of supervisory techniques which are employed. If the supervisors were authoritative, communication was top down, workers were told to work in a particular fashion, then the worker output or productivity would be lower than, and worker productivity was high if supervision was friendly. Less formal. Workers' productivity was high if supervisors were friendly, less formal, if communication was two-way, if workers felt that they could freely express themselves. ठीक? If they were made to feel that they, that their views mattered, then the productivity was high. ठीक? This was the what basically Hilton Mayo deduced from these studies. There was another experiment conducted called the bank wiring experiment. Bank wiring experiment, again a part of the human relations approach, by and involving Hilton Mayo. The bank wiring experiment. This experiment, basically they were trying to gauge, or they were trying to identify how workers respond to monetary incentives. How workers respond to monetary incentives. So how do workers respond to monetary incentives? Simply, they tried positive incentives and negative incentives. Positive incentives मतलब अगर इतना produce करोगे तो आपको इतना ज़्यादा मिलेगा. Negative incentives मतलब if you don't produce this much, then this much will be deducted from your wage. ठीक? What works, friends? What's your sense? What do workers positively respond to? Group incentives या individual incentives? Positive incentives या negative incentives? None. What the research found that irrespective of the incentives offered, workers maintained their output. ना कम करते थे ना ज्यादा. But that's very odd, no? Because that is the conventional thinking, that people respond to monetary incentives. Money matters. So if you want people to work harder, you incentivize them. You offer them more money. Or not. How do you explain such kind of an observation? Does it suggest that workers के लिए पैसा छोटी बात है? Why is it that the workers were not responding? Brother, did you just raise your hand? Yeah. Huh? See? Guys, no crosstalk. Huh, brother? Very good. Absolutely. So many of the workers tended to think that if they do increase in response to incentives, then management will then expect that level of performance from them and they will lay off some of the workers. Are you with me? तुम इतना काम तो कर ही सकते हो, तुमने करके दिखाया है तो करो, तो हमें इतने लोगों की क्यों? Hello? Yeah. So that was precisely what many of the workers started fearing, that if they increase production in response to incentives, some of the workers might be laid off. So what was the broad conclusion that was arrived at from this bank wiring experiment? It was that, and please note, Mayo concluded that Mayo concluded that in every formal organization there exists an informal organization. There exists an informal organization. Meaning what? In every company, any big company, you will have some official communication. Like in this example, the official incentive structure, right? So you will have certain certain formal structures, formal communication, all of which is typically in the hands of the management. Formal rules, etc. But apart from these formal rules, regulations, communications, memos, notices, etc., there also exists informal structures, informal groups, informal communication, which also greatly affects workers' behavior and productivity. In other words, friends, the workers amongst themselves had developed an understanding that we will continue to produce only this much and no more. Informally. कोई कानून नहीं था, कोई सरकारी क्या वो official communication नहीं था to this effect. In fact, the official communication was to the opposite effect, that increased production. But informally, amongst themselves, the workers had decided that we will not produce anymore. So say one of the workers, if he were, to get greedy and started producing more, the other workers would employ informal methods to pull him down. Are you with me? So, during lunch उसको boycott कर देंगे, मुंह फुला के बैठ जाएंगे, बात नहीं करेंगे, taunt मारेंगे. Are you with me? Now, what do you do now that you have realized this as managers? What good is this theory? Does it mean that मैं as management क्या करूं? मैं अपनी job छोड़ दूं? If workers will be responding only to the informal structures and communications, what can I as a manager, am I like impotent as a manager or not? क्या करूं मैं इस realization से that there is an informal organization? Sorry? Become part of it. And how do I do that? Dosti yari. So साफ बात है, first you have to be mindful of the existence of the informal organization. And then you can harness the power of the informal organization. One can become friendlier with the workers. So you can tell them कि भाई थोड़ा सा कर दो वरना मेरी नौकरी लाइन पे आ जाएगी. Are you with me? So through persuasion, by forging friendships, or see, formally the workers may be all at one position, but informally in that group there might be a leader, informal leader. होता है ना, some people by the force of their personality tend to drive group dynamics. Identify that. Try to bring him to your point of view through Sam Dam Dand Bhed. Yes or no? And then so you have to be mindful of the presence of the informal organization in order to harness its power. Are you with me? अब ये बताओ, ये जो human relations approach है, has that been impactful or not? Why yes or no? Why yes? So in any major corporation today, You see this HR department, क्या करता है वो? यही करता है. It is trying to foster a friendlier workplace where the workers feel they are part of the organization. Yes or no? That they can express themselves. They are trying to, encourage informal organization. Excursions पे ले जाएंगे, team building exercises कराएंगे. Yes or no? The idea is, and thanks to this approach, we now recognize the importance of people skills in management. कि भैया, getting work done from people is not just about having technical know-how or professional expertise, but you also need to know how to deal with people. Thanks to the human relations approach, now, companies have developed that humane dimension, treating people not just as mere cogs in the machine, but as human beings with human needs, emotions. Yes or no? So क्या देंगी companies? Certificate of recognition, a pat on the back, a friendly word, mentoring and advice, and so on and so forth. Yes or no? बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद. Thank you.